Sylvie of the multiple award-winning The Queen Sylvie Show. You want to expand and get noticed? Then come outside your box and into our world. Internet advertising has a real impact on global awareness and even sales, so let's make an impact together. Offering for a limited time advertising and sponsorship packages that excel your purpose. So contact Queen Sylvie or Smooth Tim for the exciting opportunities that awaits. Yeah. The Frida's Cleaning Service is a small family-owned business established in 2003. With over 17 years of professional, high-quality, and greatly satisfied service, the Frida's Cleaning Service will get the job done. Specializing in sanitizing your home, business, post-construction, and commercial cleaning, no job's too big or small. See for yourself and give us a call, 567-249-9172. La Frida's Cleaning Service. Our reputation is spotless.
It used to be hard for this family to run and play in their yard. That big pooch left its business all over. Dad would spend his time cleaning up puppy messes. Now, I make sure the yard is clean so they can play without worry. Yes, there really is a poop fairy.
Do you have questions about buying or selling a home, not sure if you're qualified? Your local real estate agent, Antoinette Ware, is here for you. Do you live out of town, moving out of town, or looking for investment property? Well, let's work together and make it happen. Antoinette Ware can be reached at 419-917-6258. The name you know, celebrating over 20 years, serving Toledo and surrounding areas.
Tommy, let's have the second 24 bars. Ready? 1 and 2.
Hey, it is Smooth Tim, and thank you so much for dropping in and spending another hump day with me on Tim's Tidbits, where I am here to inform, not to influence you. It's all the stuff that's going on around the world. It's a crazy, crazy world we live in, and I'm just trying to catch you up on just a little bit of it. Anyhow, hey, as always, heart first going out around the world. They have all kinds of different things going on. Sea to sea, coast to coast, it doesn't matter where you live. Hey, as the Queen and I always tell you on our other shows, faith over fear. We'll get there, people. Anyhow, hey, let's dive into tonight's show. And I want to call this little segment right here called Follow the Money. And it's interesting that around the United States, there's all kinds of what they call orphaned oil wells. And these oil wells are basically abandoned by an oil company for one reason and or the other. But it's starting to become a problem because there's methane gases and other pollutants that come up through these abandoned wells. And they have actually a bill that's funded to help fix some of this issue. $47 billion worth of taxpayer dollars going to repair the damage that the oil companies has done to our land. Check this video out and let's talk about this stuff.
For more than a century, this farm just 50 miles south of Oklahoma City has been home to the Ledgerwood family.
This may very well be the prettiest place I've been.
Stan Ledgerwood says the sprawling plains are more than just a place to live.
It's just been part of us, I would say.
He and his wife, Tina, built their home a few years ago, the home they plan to spend the rest of their lives in.
When you decided to retire here, what did you envision for your future?
Peace. It's a little bit of tranquility and no stress.
And what have you gotten?
Well, we certainly have not had peace, and we've had a lot of stress.
Stress, they say, that stems from this: an oil company's injection well on the Ledgerwoods' land. These wells are pretty common in oil states like Oklahoma, so it's not unusual to see. But what you shouldn't see is this. 7 years ago, Stan captured this video of salty wastewater bubbling from the well. Then the following year came news Stan and Tina were dreading. The well contaminated their land. Lab testing shows high levels of chloride in the soil, about 12 times higher than the acceptable amount. But the contamination didn't stop in the ground.
We get a call in 2018, March 2018, saying don't drink the water. And then we don't have water to drink for a little over a year.
Stan says they bought clean water to drink, but had to use the contaminated water for everything else.
We had to use it for household needs, but it was caustic, I guess you would call it, enough that, it would rust stainless steel, and toddlers' hands would get very chapped.
We don't know what we bathed in for years, so it's just really sad and frustrating.
Frustrating not only because their property was contaminated, but also because the cleanup of their property was never finished. That's in part because this well doesn't have an owner anymore. The company, South Creek Petroleum, filed for bankruptcy in 2021. Company representatives did not respond to requests for comment. Without an owner, it's now known as an orphan well, one of likely millions across the country. Shannon Anderson is the organizing director and an attorney with the Powder River Basin Resource Council in Wyoming, and she's been tackling the issue of orphan wells for decades. She says companies are supposed to set aside money to plug and clean up wells. Those allotments are called bonds, and it's the law. There's just one problem.
There's just not enough money set aside. And so it's cheaper for companies to literally walk away from their wells, their obligations, leave that money on the table, and then leave the mess for taxpayers and communities to deal with.
Yes, taxpayers end up footing the bill, and the bill can be huge. Oklahoma regulators say it's around $28,000 to clean up one well, but federal regulators estimate it to be more than twice that. And a really big cleanup, that could break 7 figures. When companies don't plug the wells or plug them improperly, states have to step in and do the work for them. Our partners at ProPublica and Capital in Maine did an analysis of the 15 states that produce nearly all the country's oil and gas. In Texas, the estimated cost to the state to clean up all the currently unplugged wells, should they become orphaned, is $37.9 billion. The money set aside? Only $565 million. That's less than 2%. California's cost could be about $19 billion, with $240 million set aside, also less than 2%. Kansas has less than $2 million in bonds for a potential cleanup cost of $967 million, a fraction of 1%. Their analysis found all of these states face a shortfall of at least hundreds of millions of dollars. All over the country have to fill in the gaps.
Isn't that fantastic? So the oil companies get to go bankrupt, go belly up, abandon the well, leave it over to the property owners and to the state and to the United States government to clean up the damn mess that they made. And think about these poor individuals like that lived back on that land. Now their land's polluted. How on earth are you ever going to sell that property? That's just never going to happen. And you'd run into all kinds of issues trying to unload that land. You probably got for a bargain basement price because the oil company that abandoned it knew that it was just crap. But even better yet, how about, if they're not getting off easy enough, maybe we should ease some of the regulations on them and make it easier for them to pollute and abandon and do whatever they want to do. Well, that's President Trump's idea.
Last month, Donald Trump summoned a who's who of top lobbyists and executives from the oil and gas industry to the upscale La Quinta/bribery palace he calls Mar-a-Lago, and proceeded to solicit $1 billion from the fossil fuel companies to get him elected, as multiple outlets have now reported. In exchange, the Washington Post reports, quote, he vowed to immediately reverse dozens of President Biden's environmental rules and policies and stop new ones from being enacted. The New York Times says, quote, Trump told the group that they should donate $1 billion to his presidential campaign because, if elected, he would roll back environmental rules that he said hamper their industry. He told executives the amount of money they would save in taxes and legal expenses after he repealed regulations would more than cover $1 billion contribution.
Well, of course it would. I'll just roll back those regulations. We covered that in the previous little piece, $47 billion, to clean up. And that's not even a fraction. What did they say? That's ridiculous. That some of these oil companies, that these bonds that they supposedly put in, about 1.5% of what it would actually cost to clean up the environment after they've abandoned these wells. And some of them, from what I understand, a little bit of research, they're supposed to fill it with cement and cap it off. But, sometimes they throw garbage down there. They'll throw whatever they have handy and just throw it down the well, and they call that plugged, abandon it, and gone. So keep your eye on this one, and I think we should be contacting our representatives about why are we responsible for this cleanup, and why would we even consider rolling back regulations on the oil companies? Obviously, they're not tight enough as it is. Keep up with this one. But anyhow, at the top of the show, I had mentioned that, heart prayers going out around the world. They're still going on in Ukraine and also over in Israel. But it seems that the United Nations now is a little concerned with the way innocents are being subjected to the inhumanities of this war. And the top UN court is put out a stern warning to both Hamas and to the Israel leaders. And check this out.
Israel's response was ferocious, making it clear it won't stop its military operation in Rafah. The court, which is also investigating Israel for, quote, plausible genocide, also said the Rafah offensive launched 2 weeks ago has triggered a humanitarian situation the ICJ called disastrous. Many have fled here to Al-Mawasi, which also wasn't spared, as conditions there go from bad to worse. The court also called on the Israeli government to reopen the Rafah border crossing. In a matter of hours, President Biden secured a commitment from Egypt to resume deliveries of UN aid into Gaza through the Kerem Shalom crossing in Israel, after tons of food on the Egyptian side of the crossing started to rot. Meanwhile, U.S. officials admit the $320 million floating pier is not operating as planned. According to CENTCOM, just 70 truckloads of aid have been delivered in the last week, far short of the 150 truckloads a day the Biden administration had promised. Many Many of the deliveries have been swarmed by hungry Palestinians, and as Israel continues to widen its offensive across all of Gaza. The remains of 3 hostages were found in the northern Jabalia refugee camp, identified as Hanan Jablanka, Michael Nizenbaum, and Orion Hernandez Rado. All 3 were killed on October 7th. Reuven Jablanka is the father of Hanan. The Israeli leadership needs to stop arguing, he said. We must bring everyone back home.
And the ICJ has no way of enforcing its order as Prime Minister Netanyahu increasingly finds himself under pressure at home and isolated internationally. But he's clearly not backing down.
No, that ain't going to happen. No, Netanyahu's, he needs to be contained. There's a lot of inhumanity going on. And I mean, I don't understand when you send refugees to this area and then you're going to bomb that area, and your reasoning for that particular destruction is because there was Hamas leaders hiding within these refugee camps. So you're going to tell the people to move to this particular area so they can stay safe, and then you're going to bomb it because they may have been infiltrated. Yeah, I can see why the United Nations Court has an issue with that, and I think everybody should have a bit of an issue with that. There should be some rules to war followed, and it just doesn't seem to me that Israel's following the protocol that you should in the rules of war when you start bombing innocents. That's just horrible, horrific. Needs to stop immediately. Truly, it really does. Speaking of some interesting things, let's go on domestically. And both of these particular next segments that I'm going to cover, and they both go down to the great state of Louisiana. And they seem to be passing some real interesting regulations. The one is just a horrific regulation in which it's going to, and it has passed, actually. In their last vote, it passed 64-29. So it's going to be law in Louisiana that women, it's got to be a felony for you to possess an abortion pill or a morning after pill. And they're classifying it like right up there with, I don't know what, fentanyl. Check this out. The scope of this
front
is
line
ridiculous.
this morning in the battle over abortion access.
And the bill is finally passed.
Louisiana lawmakers moving forward with a plan to put 2 abortion drugs in the same category as so-called controlled dangerous substances like depressants and stimulants, criminalizing the possession of mifepristone and misoprostol used to induce abortions for anyone without a prescription.
When overutilized, this drug can be incredibly harmful.
The bill's author says his sister was given an abortion pill while pregnant without her consent.
My goal is certainly not to prevent women from getting the access to these pills when they need them. It is to simply say that when you're a bad actor in possession of these pills, that you should be held accountable.
But critics question how the state could enforce the proposal and warn it may have a chilling effect.
Let me tell you something. 50th in maternal outcomes is not pro-life.
280 Louisiana doctors in a letter say reclassifying the drugs is not scientifically based and creates confusion and misinformation, considering the drugs are also used after miscarriages and to induce labor.
Only a very small percentage of the time are they utilized for abortion care.
Louisiana already has one of the most restrictive laws in the country, banning both medication and surgical abortions, with no exceptions for rape or incest, only for the life of the mother. Since the overturning of Roe v. Wade, more than a dozen states have put in place stricter abortion laws, raising the political stakes on reproductive rights heading into November. Former President Trump, in a new interview, first opening the door to restrictions on birth control.
Do you support any restrictions on a person's right to contraception?
I'm going to have a policy on that very shortly, and I think it's something that you'll find interesting.
But hours later, backing off, making clear on his social media platform he does not support a ban on birth control and will never advocate for one. So the Biden campaign had quickly seized on those comments from Mr. Trump on birth control, given that access to it is widely popular among Americans. And in a sign of how politically mobilizing Democrats think reproductive rights could be this election season, new this morning, NBC News has learned Senate Democrats plan to press the case and try to put Republicans on the spot by bringing a bill to the floor next month to protect access to contraception, according to a source familiar with that.
Exceptionally good idea. I mean, it's ridiculous. The domino effect fallout, so to speak, of the overturning of Roe v. Wade by the Trump's Supreme Court. Wait, I mean, now they're not even going to give you access to abortion pills, and are they going to limit? Are they going to limit? The medications that you can take, just birth control pills in general, and or the depot shot. What's next down the line? What intrusion are they going to make on the American woman's life? I don't understand, where they think they can, put women back into the 1920s, into the suffragette era before they had the right to vote and anything else. I mean, I don't know what their objective is, but women, you need to wake up also. And I don't mean that in a degrading manner. I just mean you better wake up, because there's a lot of things happening within the government that's restricting your liberties. Think about it. Anyhow, hey, the other thing Louisiana did, now this is insane. Now, it's not really insane. I mean, it might really deter a whole lot of this type of crime. But Louisiana has passed a bill that any person that would be classified as a sexual predator against a child could be subjected to
1,000 people in state custody are serving time for a sex offense.
Now, a bill that would allow judges to order surgical castration for some of those convicted is closer to becoming law in Louisiana. Eleanor Tabone has the story.
Senate Bill 371 would allow judges to sentence child rapists to surgical castration.
I know the surgical castration seems excessive. I view the same for the 5-year-old. For the 10-year-old, for the 12-year-old.
According to Representative Delisha Boyd, it would pertain to rapists convicted of a sex offence where the victim is under the age of 13.
If the offender refuses the procedure or chooses not to, he would most likely get a longer sentence of hard labor. I would have liked to change that.
Representative Boyd says offenders under 17 will be excluded. She says the bill also applies to women. If convicted and sentenced, they could have their ovaries removed.
There's not really supposed to be any mutilation of people's bodies. And that's what this does, it mutilates somebody's body.
But not everyone agrees with this bill. Bruce Riley, with the voice of the experience, says there's already too much brutality in this state.
Now we're going to add in this actual cutting off of somebody's testicles. Where do we draw the line in terms of our punishments?
Bruce says with the state having one of the highest wrongful conviction rates, he fears what could happen to those who are innocent of such a crime.
I believe there's been about a dozen people who might have otherwise been eligible for this this punishment who have been exonerated.
Now, chemical castration is already legal in Louisiana.
The biggest difference is surgical castration is actually the removal of genital organs surgically. Now, when you have chemical castration, we use different types of injectables and medication/hormones so that you will not have those urges.
Dr. Corey Haber says, like with any surgery, castration can be dangerous.
There really is no easy surgery. Surgery, it requires anesthesia, it requires healing, and puts you at risk for death and infection and discomfort.
Representative Boyd says if passed, she hopes the idea of physical castration will deter sex crimes on children. Eleanor Tabone, WWL, Louisiana.
Okay, so I got to know what you think about that one. That's castration. But if the perpetrator is under the age of 17, they won't subject them to the option of castration for sentence reduction. But it's interesting that Louisiana, the first clip, they're going to ban birth control. and your ability to get to it. But yeah, they're more than willing to remove a woman's ovaries or uterus, or or castrate a man. It's interesting. That may be a little severe. I don't know. Yeah, I guess eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth, if that's what you believe in. Anyhow, hey, one other thing that popped up on social media that I see is happening is a little bit of controversy with what's going on in Graceland, Elvis Presley's home. And apparently, through the Presley family, I'm not sure which one of the grandchildren it was, that they needed a little bit of cash. It might have just been his daughter, too. Let's check this video out. But in any regards, apparently they took a loan on the Graceland, to cover some bills. But this operation that they took the loan with is just a little bit on the shady side. And anyhow, maybe this cleared a little bit up about what's going on with Graceland, and also makes you prompt to think about sometimes the loan that you're signing may be a little bit too good to be true.
Right now at 5:30, the News Project I team uncovering new details about the mysterious company with Jacksonville ties behind the attempted foreclosure sale of Graceland. Tennessee Attorney General has launched an investigation into Nosany Investments in private lending.
The company claims to be from Jacksonville, but the only local address turns out to be a post office. News4JAX I-Team consumer investigator Tiffany Salome digs deeper into the story and talks with a former federal prosecutor about the strange details of this case.
Everyone's asking, who is Nosany Investments in private lending? Elvis Presley's granddaughter and actress Riley Keough has called the company fraudulent, filing a lawsuit to stop the attempted sale of Graceland. The News4JAX I-Team has tried multiple phone numbers and addresses for the business, only to come across this post office and this bizarre automated message for one of the phone numbers connected to the company by the lawsuit.
Press 1 to learn more about our affordable vacation packages.
Now, the Tennessee Attorney General has launched an investigation into the company after a Shelby County judge halted the sale of the beloved Memphis mansion.
The real estate is considered unique under Tennessee law.
How do you prove a company is fraudulent in a case like this one?
Well, they can look at some of the same evidence that you've acquired. Where's the company? Do they exist? Where's the loan paperwork? They're going to have to produce all that documentation.
Curtis Fallgetter is a local defense attorney and former federal prosecutor. He says there are a lot of red flags.
If it's a company that claims they're owed $3.8 million, that's a lot of money. They'd be an official lender, they'd have offices, they'd answer their phones. The fact that they have sort of disappeared, if you will, is very suspicious.
We searched and we can't find Nosany Investments as a registered business in the state of Florida or in Missouri. These are the states where they have addresses connected to the business as listed in court filings. We also searched in Tennessee and couldn't find anything there either. We also found a few spelling errors in the documents and correspondence from Nosany that was included in court records, like the misspelling of Elvis Presley's middle name, Aaron. We've also tried reaching the company by email, but have yet to receive a response. Some of our emails bounced back.
What do you think the multiple spelling errors and Hotmail email address tells us about this company?
Scam.
Well, again, a real company that can afford a $3.8 million loan, if it really happened, you wouldn't have those kind of mistakes. This is it makes it sound all the more like a sham company.
A local Memphis news station reports that they were able to reach Kurt Nosany, a representative of Nosany Investments, by email. He told WREG that the company withdrew its foreclosure claim, quote, due to the deed of trust not being recorded and the loan being obtained in a different state. Stay tuned.
Yeah, stay tuned to that one. That's interesting. So, yeah, she got herself mixed up somehow, maybe not directly, excuse me, rather, with this loan company, because, sometimes loans can be bought. Who knows all the particulars of this loan that the granddaughter had taken out, but $3.8 million, and it's kind of funny that, their address goes back to a post office. And then they try to contact them, and it's, are you interested in one of our vacation packages? Like, what the hell kind of operation is this? So, hey, again, people, if when you're signing paper for big bank notes like that, not necessarily 3.8 billion. I mean, it could be quite a bill. I don't care if it's $10,000. Read the fine print and find out who you are getting that money from, and especially, you know, if they have the ability to actually resell that loan, who knows what's going to happen to that loan and or the interest rates. Play it smart when you're playing with your money. Anyhow, hey, another interesting thing when it comes to your residence, just like with what's happening in the Graceland, where somebody's trying to con the Presleys out of, you know, the ability to even have Graceland still in their possession. It looks like the judge blocked that, thank God. But in any regards, this happened to an individual who he started a social media page during the pandemic, and for his apartment complex, and it kind of turned out to where it was first, you know, just a way for everybody to get to know each other. Then, obviously, as things happen, you get one person on there that can, you know, start spewing information, misinformation, who knows what's going on. But this guy's suffering the consequences all because he started a social media page.
A Tampa man thought he found the perfect place in Channelside for an apartment, but tonight, after 2 years of living there, he says he's being told to leave because of posts in a Facebook group. 10 Tampa Bay's Chris Hurst spoke with a man who says now he doesn't feel welcome at his own home.
It makes me feel this big.
Robert Dressler says he's sick of the way his landlord is treating him and other residents.
They make me feel like some kind of middle school kid.
He lives here at the Slade at Channelside.
The location here is amazing. I'm just so settled in.
But soon he'll be living somewhere else.
They just sent me a non-renewal notice.
Kicked out at the end of his lease.
I asked them why, and they had said it's because of the negative energy you create in a Facebook group.
Dressler created a Facebook group when he first moved in as a marketplace for residents, but now they use it to make repeated complaints about doors that don't lock, fruit flies coming through drains, and...
Here's a photo of the amount of poop that I found on the floor one time right by an entranceway, just trying to warn people so that they don't step in it.
In an email exchange Dressler gave us, the property manager says he, quote, fostered a negative environment for the building, deterred prospects from renting, and made multiple false and misleading claims about the building.
I have since asked them to explain exactly what has been misleading in any of my Facebook posts, and they've just ignored me.
They ignored us too, and we've given them more than 24 hours to respond to our questions for why they decided to make Dressler find a new place to live. An attorney told him he had a case, but that it's not worth the cost.
At the end of the day, when you're talking about paying lawyers and fees, the cost outweighs the cost of just moving.
As of now, he can stay until the end of his lease in 2025.
Probably gonna be awkward.
But the next several months won't be home sweet home. In Tampa, Chris Hurst, 10 Tampa Bay.
Now, checking the law here, landlords usually don't have to give a reason for a non-renewal, but it is illegal for them to retaliate against tenants in certain cases, including participating in a tenant organization. Only a lawsuit, though, would answer if a Facebook group qualifies as one.
I find that interesting, right? You know, yeah, the guy's going to be booted because of the Facebook posts that were made on the page that he created. And I can relate to that. In fact, in our little community that we live in, there was a social media page, and a lot of it was, you know, filled with complaints, rather, about the management and how they, as the HOA management, are they taking care of the property as they should? A lot of people complaining. Well, guess what happened? That whole thing, gone. You don't want to hear any negativity, do you? So, yeah. So, in a very way, you know, hey, sometimes residents have a very valid complaint that should be heard, and sometimes just vocalizing it out there. You have other residents that are experiencing the same thing, and they band together, and management doesn't like that when you have a united front saying they're not doing their job. Not going to happen. Hey, you know, it was a few months ago, I had posted a video about a officer who was caught on camera in a city park, and he was getting into the back of the car with a prostitute. But in any regards, you know, and he lost his job. But it was kind of interesting that, again, we have a officer who has maybe took his authority a little bit to the extreme. And this happened in San Diego. And ever since the allegations and a little bit of investigation, this officer decided probably best for him to just resign.
We're just going to go to my car right here, okay? Follow me. Is this car good? On the other side of my car.
Oh, you're not? Well, I can't hear you now. Don't say that right now. No, I said don't say that right now because everything's being recorded right now. What's going on?
Geez, why would he turn off his body cam? I don't know. Hurry, get him out of the car.
All right, sir, step out of the vehicle for me. 114 yellow. What code for? Okay, hold on, let me turn my camera off. She's code 4? She's code 4. Okay. Yeah, let me turn this off real quick.
Hold on, let me turn this off real quick. While he gives his BS explanation on why he was in the back seat of his cruiser with the girl for over 10 minutes, and then he realized that he screwed himself by locking himself in. Maybe after he screwed the prostitute. Who knows? But I mean, hey, that takes stupidity to a whole new level. And I mean, as if you don't have enough disdain and disrespect for law enforcement now, and then you have people out there doing that kind of BS. I think we even covered a transport officer for a private organization who was doing the same stupid stuff. So come on, people, use your head. Anyhow, hey, let's get on to something actually good. And this happened just not too long ago, and this is a feel-good video that I really want to play for everybody. That, there are good people out there in this world, and they do try their best to pay it forward and do the best that they can.
These days, you never know who's going to show up at your door. But thanks to a Ring Doorbell video, this man was captured right here. Now, as CBS 8's Steve Price reports, the search is on to find that man, but maybe not for the reason you think.
Take a close look. Do you recognize this stranger who showed up Friday at Michael Finner's house in El Cajon?
Never expected that to happen.
Michael would like to find him to say thank you. This story actually starts here in this parking lot. Michael came to the Lowe's to buy a grill for his wife's birthday party. When he got back to his truck, a guy came up to him selling strawberries, and he bought some. Michael put his wallet on the hood of his vehicle. He then loaded everything into his truck, forgot about the wallet, and drove away. Michael headed east on the 52, got off at Cuyamaca, and went straight to his house, where he quickly realized his wallet was missing. So he went back to Lowe's.
Asked their lost and found, and nobody had turned in a wallet.
Michael headed back home, fearing the worst.
I had all my identification, my bank cards, and then it would have been a mess for months.
On a hunch, Michael stopped at the Cuyamaca off-ramp and started looking for his wallet. And that's when he spotted 3 of his cards, including his Costco membership. He thought someone threw the cards out the window since they weren't worth money.
But then I walked 50 more feet and I found a $5 bill A little further up, found a $20 bill, so I thought, well, it must have just fallen off the truck.
Michael spent another 30 minutes here looking for his wallet with no luck, but what he didn't realize is that this guy had already found his wallet and drove it to his house to return it.
To bring it to the house, that's extraordinary.
But with Michael out looking for his wallet, he wasn't there to answer the door, so the stranger flagged down a neighbor.
And this guy asked her, hey, are you pretty tight with your neighbor? And she was like, well, I'm having dinner over there tonight. She was like, and the guy said, okay, well, what's his name? She goes, Mike. And he goes, that's the guy. Hey, can you give him this wallet?
The neighbor didn't get the man's name, so Mike has no idea who he is, but if he's watching, Mike would like to say thank you and invite you over for a barbecue on the new grill.
See, hey there are still good people out there in this world. And that's a feel-good moment, you know. And I could imagine that Mike was pleasantly surprised that he was able to get his driver's license, credit cards, this and that back. And yeah, if any of us have ever been compromised in that way, we know the hassle that it can be. Just a freaking nightmare. Hey, let's get on to another part of the show that I like to show you, and that is called What the Fuck is Going On? And this week we're going to cover what's going on. Well, let's take a look at what's going on in the Republican Party this week.
Well, guys, I had to come down and witness the Bolshevik show trials.
Just to be clear, you're voting for someone who you believe tried to subvert the peaceful transfer of power, that can't even achieve his own policies, that lied about the election even after his attorney general told him that the election wasn't stolen. And as the former chief law enforcement in this country, you're going to vote for someone who is facing 88 criminal counts.
The answer to the question is yes.
I will be voting for Trump.
Will you accept the results regardless of who wins the election?
So, Caitlin, I got to say, I think that's actually a ridiculous question.
The 45th President of the United States, Donald J. Trump.
Showing up at a libertarian event, which, you know, they love him there too.
None of us are great fans of Donald Trump.
I saw a wave of red hats at the Libertarian Convention.
The Libertarian Party should nominate Trump for President of the United States. Whoa.
Couple of boos for the policies, not directly at going towards President Trump.
That's nice.
Trump is just incredible. Abolish term limits, make him president for life.
Jesse James Rumson, seen here wearing a panda head, was found guilty of 8 charges, including assaulting a police officer.
God, Jesus, Mary, and then Trump.
You are looking at the very limited edition Trump Black Card. Listen to this. This sucker is metal, folks.
Merrick Garland basically issued a kill order for President Trump.
There is an open borders sort of caucus, informal caucus in the Democrat Party, and they push this. Really? They push this agenda. Yeah. Why would the president knowingly allow this? Because they wanted to turn these people into voters.
This is not like an illegal immigrant. They're building something. They have something in mind.
The Democrats know if they can control this White House for another 4 years, America as we know it and have grown up in will be gone.
You looking forward to the rally, Mr. Santos? Absolutely.
Okay. There you go. A recap of last week with the Republican Party. That's amazing. You know, when you're propounded that question, you know, Bill Barr, and he's convicted this, that, you're still going to vote for him? Yeah. It's amazing what these people will put up with. You know, how they will lower their morals and values strictly to honor a party. And I think really over the weekend I heard, and I'm not a big Joe supporter, but Joe made a very perfect point in his speech at Arlington Cemetery over the Memorial Day holiday, and he says, you know, we pledge allegiance to a nation. We don't pledge allegiance to a president. We don't pledge allegiance to a Republican, Democratic, Independent party. We are members of the United States. We are citizens, and that's where our allegiance should be, for the United States, not for an individual and not for a party. Look out what's best for the country. Anyhow, hey, this is another great part of the show that I know everybody kind of likes, and that's who is going to be our asshole of the week. Well, you know, it is the season. Graduations are happening. Most of us, you know, have been attending a lot of graduation ceremonies and, you know, proud of the achievements of our children and or, you know, nephews, nieces, grandchildren. But this went a little bit to the extreme. And this actually happened, believe it or not, at a kindergarten graduation.
During a graduation at Buckley Carpenter Elementary School.
The kids, that was an exciting day for them to be graduating kindergarten and, you know, starting to be a big kid, and something like that happened is so sad. So sad for them.
I was expecting more of that from like a high school graduation. I didn't think it would be like at a elementary school. So that just threw me off guard.
Fayette County Sheriff said that this all began as an argument between several adults on the bleachers at the graduation. The argument ended with 10 to 12 adults and juveniles getting into a fight at the graduation. Sheriff arrested 3 people, Dontavius Gilcrease, along with a mother and daughter, Rhonda Humphrey and Taisha Humphrey. Fox 13 has learned as a result of Taisha's actions, a child suffered injuries to their face and head. Fox 13 was able to catch up with this mother, Rhonda. She told us that she was wrongfully arrested and that she didn't lay hands on anyone.
It's really embarrassing for our county. I just hope that the law gets to the bottom of this and not to clear my name and find out what really happened to my son, because the board won't allow me to look at the video. I got hysterical. The police called the ambulance. They said he had a little concussion. They released him.
She says her son was injured in the fight by an adult elbowing him in the head. However, school officials suspended her son for the rest of the school year until the school was able to prove that he wasn't fighting.
And my son got suspended, but they lifted suspension because they ran back and looked at the tape and see where he had been injured by an adult figure. It really hurt me because I had went out my way to give him nice things so he could participate with his fellow classmates. And he was stripped of that, and I can't get that back.
Sadly.
Interesting. Yeah, parents. It doesn't matter where you're at. You could be at a frickin' kindergartner's graduation, Little League baseball game. It doesn't matter. Something's going to break out, and it just seems that the adults, rather, don't have the ability to, restrain themselves and keep their emotions in check. And then the kids even getting into the brawl. That's just insane. I see they caught up with her at the food right. I was laughing to myself when I seen that in the background. Like, would they follow her around until she got out of the car? And can we catch an interview with you? Is your kid one of them that was getting into that big fight at the kindergarten graduation? But wow. Anyhow, hey, it doesn't matter where you're at. You could be at a concert. You could be at a movie theater. You can be at the local mall. You could be at a kindergartner's graduation, and shit can hit the fan, people. So as I always say, keep your head on the swivel and figure out how you're going to get the heck out of there if something does spark off. Anyhow, hey, super appreciate you tuning in. I hope you enjoyed the information that I passed along to you. Hope you enjoyed the show. And just say again, hey, thank you so very much. Get out of here with a little bit of musical number, and you enjoy the rest of your week. Bye.
Oh, can you hear the sound of a president who slept with a porn star? While my wife was home with a newborn baby, and I just couldn't care. Give me shelter from the storm, 'cause I'm tired and I don't want to go on. Saw me and the jury, well, they're coming for me. I was just found guilty, guilty as hell. Guilty of an election fraud, a guilty sort of a bitch. 12 jurors found me guilty of election election fraud. I slept with lies I just wouldn't admit. I thought my power would keep me above it all. But in the end, there was no hiding what I did to y'all. Give me shelter from the storm, 'cause I'm tired and I don't wanna go on. Stormy and jury, well, they're coming for me. I was just found guilty.
Well, Donald, you f***ed up again. You got caught sleeping with a porn star. What kind of people are going to vote for you now? This is why you need to vote blue. You need to vote for people with morals and principles. Donnie, you're guilty as hell.
Guilty as hell. Guilty of election fraud. A guilty sort of a bitch.